What is up, buds? Welcome to Weed&d, the pot positive live tabletop role-playing experience. I am your dungeon master for the night, Brandon Allen McClenahan, but you can call me Bam. And this is my pipe, Elefunk, because he's like a little elephant. Beep, beep. Thank you so much for being here tonight with us, guys. All our people on Twitch, all our wonderful buds on the Weed&d Hub community group and everything. As this thing grows and more people jump in, I can't tell you how touched we all are that this thing is just bringing a little joy to a really strange time in all of our lives. I can guarantee you it does the same for us, so thank you so much for helping make this thing possible. Everybody that's contributing, subscribing, and doing all the stuff for us, like it warms our heart to no end. And I can't go another moment without saying how much we appreciate you and love you guys. Thanks for being here with us. I can't wait to do this thing, man. I've been a buzz all freaking day. We just leveled up. We will be dropping a video on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ArtHeartStudios. We will be dropping Getting Higher with Weed&d, our leveling up experience. It's a little more laid back, a little behind the scenes, just us taking the Ferocious Five from level 5 to level 6. So they have leveled up from their encounter with this dragon. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do next. Isaac, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm just worried that you're planning on murdering more children, burning any churches, anything else that'll piss off people.
I see. You're right. There's some children may have died, but came back. That boy is alive. And a church got burned. And I mean, it's let's just say I understand why some people used to freak out about this game. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I can't wait to get into it. The only way to do that is to bring in all these sexy beasts that we play with each and every week. Let me introduce my favorite people in the world, the cast of Weed&d. I'm going to take this little joint here and through the magical powers of the internet, pass it off to my girl, Brenna. How you doing, girl?
Oh, hey, what's up? I am so excited to be here. I am so excited. I have nowhere else that I would rather be except for here with my buds. Especially after I've killed a dang old dragon. So I'm excited to pass this over to my girl, my bae, my beau, to the smooth hands, aka Abby.
Boom! Smoking the pen today, Abby Dandy, aka Tennis Smooth Hands in the house. Ooh! It was a jam-packed episode last week. I'm ready to dive in. We got a lot to do. Passing it on to Drew.
Oh, that rhymed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it did. Thank you, Abby, baby girl. What's up, Drew, Doricus, Yeah, fucking slaying dragons, just laying it down like a... Wait, no, I just babysat. I actually didn't do shit the last episode, but I had a fucking awesome time, and I hope you do too. And one way that I do that is communicate with my best friend. Come on in, best friend. Passing it on to you there, good bud. Come on back at me, 10-4.
Oh, 10-4, loud and clear, best friend. What's up, buds? Welcome back. Jake Taylor here is Real Authorvon and sexy cast. Level 6 is looking real sexy right now. Very excited to see where that takes us next. But before that, tell us about yourself there, Gus.
Oh, hey, I didn't see you there. I'm Gus Langley, the stoner, and I'll be playing Divot, the skeleton boner donor. So welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Back to Bam.
Oh, it has returned to me once more. Well, friends, we are already higher than we usually are when we do this because we just smoked for like an hour leveling up. So strap in because it's going to be a good one. We like to start our ceremonies off. No, I'm going to do that. We like to start our night off with a ceremony. Maybe you've heard about it, maybe you haven't. But let's take those lighters, put them up, and go. Lighters up. Let's play some fucking D&D, guys.
Weed&d, high fantasy, literally for you and me. So load up bowl and make a roll to take control. Weed&d.
Ooh, yes. Gosh, that theme song gets me pumped every time, so please allow me to set the mood. I'm so sorry. When last we left the Ferocious Five, they stood before a burning church within the village of Emerella after an arduous battle with a pack of green dragons. The epic battle, which drew to a conclusion as Brunor, seeking redemption from her lost home, the city of Elmira, lost to the shadow dragon Exonius so long ago, drove Angerel, Blade of the Keepers, completely through the skull of the young dragon and plummeted with its lifeless corpse into the supply tent below. The same tent which Divot had succumbed to the call of death, traveling the great divergence and landing at the feet of the throne of death himself, who offered Divot an opportunity to serve as his agent in the new world, which he foretold of. Divot agreed, and as a sign of his new pact with the red-masked death, the skin of Divot's right forearm dissolved away, leaving him with a skeleton arm from elbow to fingertip. The flames from this church that burns flicker on the faces of the five as the scream of a small girl cries out from the adjoining building.
Oh boy.
All right, guys, we resume our tale as you all stand before the burning church of Sylvanus in the city of Emerella. The church, if you'll recall, was filled with a young dragon that Rial thought best to put out by burning the church that captured it down. Divot aided a little bit with a spell Shatter and brought the rest of the building collapsing down on top. What you saw last, the squimmering, squealing, crying form of a young wormling dragon pinned down by flaming wood and stone as it drew its last breaths. Rial Othravon, you, having just supplied the magic fire which dealt the final blow, standing unable to look forward at what you've just done, you feel this strange feeling in the pit of your stomach. And you, after having grappled with the emotional heaviness of this decision to execute this intelligent creature, although the right thing to do and for the right reasons, this type of action stirs within you and you're actually forced to throw up. Ugh. You guys see, in this moment, Rial, after casting the spell of fire, turns his head away, and so overtaken is he that he throws up and loses a little bit of his last ration at his feet. You hear the piercing cry of the young girl within this adjoining building here, screaming, "No!" as the flames spill over from the church to the adjoining building here to the south of it. So yes, you guys, you look around, you see the great peaks of the Malachite Mountains kind of casting some shadows from the sun still frozen in the sky. And you look around and at the many trees and the other buildings that are near this kind of blazing fire, not really spreading beyond, to this building up north or anything like that. But this attached building here is very much just starting to catch on fire. So what do you guys want to do?
Can I grab whatever that dang old satchel that dragon had in his
yes.
in his hands?
Yes, so Bruno,
Give me
you're
that
still,
satchel.
you kind of, some of your body is still kind of covered by the canvas tent that flapped over you as the dragon was skewered by the great central pole. And you see that pole still sticking out, covered with some green dragon blood. You see the woods kind of burning at the feel of this acidic nature of what's within this great beast. And you look down and you see, it's dead as a doornail, and in its withered little claw, you throw back a little piece of canvas, and you see clutched in its hand is that fine silver bag. It died still clutching it pretty hard. So you actually have to kind of peel the fingers away, and you pull out this small silver satchel.
What's in it?
You kind of, like a kid on Christmas, just pull it right open, and you see sitting inside is a small crimson-colored scarab. It looks like it maybe once was on a necklace. There's a hole through the top where the head of the scarab would be, but you just see the small red, crimson-colored scarab necklace like would be sat upon the neck of some type of person. You can tell immediately upon looking at it that it shimmers with magical energy. This is a magic item. And if you'll recall, he obtained this item from digging around in this cemetery behind the church. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Great. I'm gonna kind of put all that away. I love bags. Bags are my aesthetic.
So many things.
Yeah, I'm gonna check to. Okay, well, there's no one in this building anymore. I don't know that though. But there's no one in this building, like next to the church. Not the one that the little girl is in, the one north of it.
Yeah, no, that's where you guys found Albie, and then Rial
Oh
gave that the
yeah,
all
that
clear.
little son of a gun.
Fucker rolled so hot.
Oh,
Stole all Rial's good
Perception.
rolls.
He's perceptive as fuck.
He can really see when his dad is dying.
Yeah.
Annie, I had to tell him. I had to waste my bonus action to tell him. Ain't that fucking perceptive?
Waste my bonus action.
Cool. I want to come to and go save whatever the hell this person. Save the small person.
Can I give Bruno or something real fast?
Yeah.
After this
it up to
great
5?
victory, I want to cast Prestidigitation, and I want her to smell like the smells of the sea as she just like kills this dragon.
Ooh, yes. In fact, so attuned to this moment of destiny from finally smiting your first dragon, the first of many steps towards your greater destiny, you notice that even like your armor is kind of stained with the coloration of the coral designs that were spilling out of the creature. And so it's like you have these little coral flashes all over your armor now. And then yes, the sweet smell of the sea fills your nose. And for a moment, a sea elf too long from sea, it's an overwhelming sentimental moment.
That's
You
gonna
smell the
fill
sweet
me
smell.
with so much hype. That's gonna get me good. I want to be filled with so much hype that I run into this building and get this child.
All right, so here I'm going to reveal it so you can see it. All right, so yes, the just the south or the south of the church, north of this little attached building, you would assume this is where like whatever priest works in the church, where his living quarters would be. You see a simple bed and cobblestone walls, and you see poking out just underneath this little bed here is the terrified eyes of a little small girl with brown hair. She, akin, just similar to Albie and Tovas, she wears just kind of like a baggy one piece of cloth that she'll kind of grow into over the years. You see her face is terrified as the smoke is now starting to billow into this room and fill it up. Brunor, you look down and you see the scared girl. At first, she recoils back, thinking perhaps you're one of these dragons, and your blue and green colored skin doesn't necessarily help your cause. But you see she's more afraid of the fire.
I wanna reach my hand down to her and be like, "Come with me if you want to live."
God, what an original line. You see she looks up at you, like a young Connor, and her eyes kind of swell for a moment. She weighs her options. She doesn't just come diving into your arms, but she looks up at the smoke filling the room, and she kind of looks at you and double checks maybe with the smoke one more time. No, it's probably gonna fill this room. She's looking around, but she's still very scared, having heard these dragons doing what they're doing outside. But she does, as you hold out your now youthful, the curse broken young arm out, you see she reaches forward with a tepid hand, and it's kind of shaking, and she looks up at you with like these big brown eyes that are just like welling with water, and she grabs you by the wrist, and you proceed to pull her out of the room.
Is there anything cool in that room before I leave?
Make an investigation check for me. You're kind of like, like batting the smoke away as it starts to fill, but you're not above robbing a priest.
Too bad Albie wasn't in there.
Just kidding.
You've got to get Albie back.
Critical miss. Unfortunately, you can't do that on a skill check. Rules is written, so
I
it's
yell
not.
on my way
You don't
out,
like
yeah.
hurt yourself or anything. But unfortunately, Brunor, the smoke from the building that just collapsed, the top of the church that blew this big plume of smoke in the room, it's just overtaken. You can't see anything, and you're having a little hard time breathing. You see the little girl starts kind of freaking out that you're going back in, and so you decide to do better and walk out. You don't really see anything of value.
Well,
clearly there's nothing in there. Not one thing that's very interesting at all.
Yeah, you feel like you looked really well, and you just didn't see anything. Like, you don't know you failed. You're like, I looked everywhere. And you just, like, lifted up one thing. God dang it. All right, so we are out of, just so you guys are aware, we're out of combat initiative now. So the 6 seconds of all of you guys doing things in turn and everything, we're back to kind of real time. You all see, you know, Tina and Rial, you're still standing here south of the tent that has this big skewered emerald dragon on it, and near Divot, whose back is kind of pressed against this cobblestone. Again, the kind of horrifying sight that when Divot came to after the healing of Tina, he now has a skeleton arm from elbow to fingertip. So, you know, a lot of things are going on right now. You look over, you know, you saw that Divot basically made the call and decided to collapse the church with his magic as the great gong sound, you know, set off the shatter that collapsed the building. And so, yeah, it's like you guys see as kind of Brunor comes running from around where you heard the scream, holding behind her this brown-haired child who's just scared and shaking. Her eyes kind of get big, and she jumps back for a second. You feel a tug at your hand, Brunor, as she eyes this first wormling body on the ground. And just as she gathers, you know, the stomach to start moving forward again, her eyes look even farther, and she sees this skewered dragon with this bloodied tent pole stuck through his frame. You know, the bottom of his jaw with this hole where this green acidic blood is spilling out from, you know, where Andriel just blew out the bottom. And she once again kind of looks around and starts pulling away from you. So you kind of
I wanna stop and like turn around and like sit down in front of her and kind of take a moment to like sit with her for a second and go,
Hey, I'm also gonna name you Little Dude.
Nice.
And I want you to be brave for me, okay? These things aren't gonna hurt you. And if they do, one of us will save you, I promise. But either way, they're not gonna hurt you. And you gotta be brave for me. Because if you're not brave, then I can't be brave. And we just gotta be brave for each other, okay?
And you see, you know, much like the Albie before, a stiff, stern lip crosses her face. No, I'm sorry, you were talking to Tobas. You know, the same kind of connection that you had with Tobas. You see her eyes, you know, the water building at them kind of slows down, and she looks up at you with these shining brown eyes and her tasseled little brown hair. And she looks up at you, and she kind of musters like a nod at you. And you see she takes a big deep breath and like over puffs her shoulders out, you know, like a little kid trying to like prove just how brave she's gonna be. She sticks her chest out, and she looks at you and kind of gives you like a you know, reaches her little arm out and sets it on your shoulder as you kneel in front of her and kind of nods. And then you see, you know, you had mentioned you kind of have your thumb back toward us, you know, that one of us is going to save you. You see as she has her hand on your shoulder, she kind of looks over to the left, and she makes eyes. And Tina, you see this little girl. She looks at you, and as she's all puffed up and big, her eyes grow even wider. And you just see as this sense of calm starts washing over her. She's just like staring at you like a gleaming statue, you know, perfect as the sun is cast behind you. You see she's just looking with this incredulous look of wonder and looking at you. But it seems that that Brunor, the combined effect of both Tina's visage and Brunor's words, she's calmed down. She's not trying to run away or anything. You see she's looking around, and she goes, My sister, have you found my sister?
No, sweetie, but let's go find her together.
Yes.
I kind of guide her like towards Tina, like to go towards Tina and like walk that way.
She kind of walks past you, you know, stepping slowly by the dead body of the wormling, and you know she's trying to show that she's brave, but she's terrified that at any moment this thing will come to life and snap at her. Even though it's Office Space stomped into a pretty sick pile of goo. You see she's kind of just like cautious of walking near this beast that surely she may have seen doing some damage earlier. And then she looks up at you, Tin, and for a moment she like can't even come close to you, almost as if there's this glowing barrier coming off of you. And she looks up and she makes eye contact and says, My sister doesn't speak. She doesn't have a voice. She could be anywhere. And she starts looking around. That's pretty much where she's at. She's kind of like frantically looking around, like considering where her sister might be. You hear still shouting from around this southern corner as well. My boy! Oh, dear sweet boy! You hear Kona's voice from behind the windmill as well. Kind of a lot going on.
Well, okay.
Okay, yeah.
Tina, maybe you can take this little dude to go find her sister, little dude, and then I'll go check and see what the heck that's about. Does anyone want to come with me?
To Real and Divot.
Do you speak CL?
I'll zip over.
Excellent.
Yeah. That sounds like a great plan.
Or should I check some of the buildings back there?
Yeah, maybe we should spread out to find all the people in the village, and I'll go check on this Kona situation.
Okay. I'm gonna go to this building right where we came in, because we have not checked
All right,
that
Divot,
yet.
what are you up to?
Brunor, do you want me to come with you? Or should I help Real investigate this big building?
Help Real.
I'm gonna go with this girl to find her sister.
Try to find her
I would
sister.
say we just
Try to find her sister, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say we try to like look throughout the village to see and make sure everybody's
All
alive
right, yeah,
and okay.
so we're just going to kind of zone off and do this individually. We'll just do some like quick little side story bursts here. So we'll start with you, Tina. And Thoricus, I'm sorry, what were you up to? Are you going with Brunor?
No, I was gonna go back in the smithy now that
Okay.
do I even know that the dragon's dead?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Or am I still up against 10 being like, okay.
No, yeah, we're in like narrative mode now. You're like, you've heard the collapse of the building, you know, you've heard the cry of the girl. You've kind of come around this corner and seen, you know, the church is, like I said, continuing to burn this other building. They're just the roof, the cobblestones don't burn, but you see some windows blow out as the heat gets really bad inside. But yeah, I'm gonna, just so you guys, just to clean up this visual a little, I'm gonna go ahead and remove these fire squares.
Thank you.
Just because it's like, yeah, it's this.
Fire square.
There is a dead dragon in there. I think I just deleted something important.
Probably.
Something important. Oh dear.
I think I even put some on the map layer. This is a whole. No, I'm moving everything.
Okay.
Is there reports?
All right.
Oh,
All right.
goodness.
All right.
Yeah.
Who's that in there?
So some of these reds are gonna stay. There's no working around it. Apparently, this is not important. All right. So, but yes, just for your edification, this building is still continuing to burn. Like there's no reason for it to stop. So the ceiling and everything. It's just the fire is now spread,
on it. So.
and it's burning down.
we
Tina,
ask
I'm
it?
also gonna say your spiritual weapon as we kind of fade into the narrative is fading away as well. Your sight.
Yeah.
But there are still the dead dragons around. There is, let me copy it. There is a dead dragon. That's one of the things I deleted on accident. There's a dead dragon inside here, just charred and disfigured. And yeah, there's some more stuff to the church. But anyway, so yeah, Tina, we're gonna start with you, the little girl. Thoricus, I'll come to. Oh, you're going to the blacksmith. That's right. So the little girl, you see, she goes. She looks at you. She's like, my sister. She likes to play near the graveyard. We should check there. And she starts kind of tugging you. You and her kind of run past Brunor as you see Brunor take a right here and go over toward Kona. And you come around back and you come near this graveyard. And so this is the first time kind of laying eyes on what would normally probably have been a very nice, lovely countryside graveyard has been just torn to shreds. You see great big claw marks have dug up all of the graves. You even see some like mangled skeletons, some with a little flesh still on them and some bugs buzzing around. And for a moment you kind of worry at the sight for this little girl that's with you. You do a quick glance around and you don't see any like little girl bodies or anything like that. But go ahead and make a perception check for me.
Oh no.
Ooh, it was hugging that 20. It was just.
Yeah.
It was rude.
No, that's good though. 17. So yes, you look down at all these different tossed, gravestones and shattered pieces of stone and earth, coffins that have just been torn to shreds. It looked like something. You didn't have the benefit of seeing this spectacle that Brunor did. but it looks like something was hurriedly digging through here, definitely looking for something specific. You do see one gravestone stands out from the rest, and it's kind of ornate, and it's got this big, giant scarab, on it. It's this big shape of a great scarab beetle with wings and those, kind of a horned head. And across it is just simply one word. It says Illifarn. And so it's just something you make note of. It's like definitely the nicest gravestone that's there. It was so ornately made that it doesn't seem to have just been like blown to rubble like the other ones were. But yes, you see the name Illifarn on that gravestone.
And do I recognize this name?
I'm actually. You could make a history check. So it's
-1.
No, 16. That's good enough. So yes, Tina, you're again, originally being a trickster cleric, you were keen on getting as much information as you could before you went into a new location. And even though you kind of got away from some of your scams and tricks of your older days, you still couldn't get away from that urge to know a lot about what you were getting yourself into. And you found it kept you alive as you traveled the roads of the world. And so in this case, you're like Illifarn, and the name sits in your mind for a moment, and you recall when in talks of learning of these great druids that live in this region, you heard of the great druid Achaeus that was doing the celebration, and that's what led you to look up, were there other great druids? You do know Illifarn was one of the names of one of the last circle of druids. So Illifarn supposedly has a son, and that his son is also on this new council. You couldn't find any of the new council's names short of Achaeus, and that was just because he introduced himself as the great druid Achaeus. So you do know there's 7 druids in every one of these big druid circles, and this one is supposed to be the most powerful one.
So he's buried here?
Yes, by looking at it, this was his grave, and so you kind of look around for any kind of special body or anything like that. Again, you kind of see a nice, a more ornate coffin not too far away from where you found the headstone with the name on it. And the coffin is made of a finer wood, much finer. It looks like it took more to rip through it. More claw strikes are on this as opposed to the other ones, which blew open, like little tin cans. And in that, you just see the scattered skeleton remains of a long dead corpse. Nothing special that sticks out to you or anything. With the meta knowledge that Brunor would have in this moment, it's likely the item that the dragon found in the graveyard. Was from this grave.
Meta knowledge.
Wow.
Metadon.
So there's no dead little girls or alive little girls?
Yeah, no, you have the foresight to kind of just tell the little girl, you set her down by this little tree, and you're like, you're going to take a closer look. And you start, you're a paranoid PC, so you don't just walk right by skeletons, because all D&D players are terrified that all skeletons are going to come to life. And so, you cautiously kind of like start looking around. No mangled corpses of any little children. And even no particularly fresh looking bodies. Like it's, the only, like you see like one leg that's got like a little muscle tissue and skin on it still. So probably died within like, say, the last 50 years. But ostensibly Illifarn's corpse, the skeletons that you found near the finer coffin, his bones were long dry. I mean, he's been dead a very long time.
Okay. Well, doesn't seem like she's over here.
Yep. So that's so Tina, you and her kind of continue your search. She starts leading you back toward the main streets. Oh, if she's not here, maybe she's near the windmill, and kind of starts leading you toward the windmill. Brunor, you come around the corner, and you see Tovas again. His blonde hair. He's got broad adventurer shoulders. but mostly like farmer clothes, a tan tunic and brown pants with a rope cinch cord, armed with the weapon that he picked up from his brother. And you see he's just wrapping his son Tovos with his dark, shaggy dark hair. He's just wrapping him in this big hug. Oh, my dear boy, and just wiping his hair and just clutching him with gratitude as you kind of come around the corner. Not a very stealthy person in your loud armor. You see he kind of looks up and over at you, and he's like, oh, the sea serpent. Oh, my goodness, he's back. And he like holds him as if he's looking at a miracle. He says, I saw him gone. He was dead, but he's returned. Oh, Gods be praised. And he's just clutching his son, who's just like, Dad,
Dad,
Picking me.
parents just don't understand, right?
You see Tovos kind of looks up at you, Bruno, and he's like, oh, Bruno, I did it. I held on the windmill, just like you said, and we jumped out the window, and then you jumped off the windmill, you jumped over on the building, and then I fell off the windmill, and Paul tried to catch me, but he didn't catch me. And then I woke up and I was on the ground, and he was looking at me, and he was screaming, and he was shouting, and it was crazy.
I do a slow turn to Kona, like looking right at him, like after all that work of saving his damn son, and he couldn't catch him or anything. So it's just one of those.
He's like, I rolled a 1. I'm so sorry. But yeah, you see, Kona seems touched by the extra, like the extra world right now. Like he, even seeing you guys do your glorious things, it's like he, according to his own words, saw Tovos die, and then he woke back up. And so you see him. I mean, he is literally just shaking, and he's trying to explain things to you, but he just can't stop looking at his dear sweet boy and just kind of like stroking his face and his blonde hair and just clutching him close to him. Again, the kid's just like, I'm telling you, I was on the windmill and then my fingers started to hurt, so I put my feet up on the little brace thing, and then I started to fall, and then I saw Paw and he dropped me. And then you guys both share one more quiet silence.
Well, I'm gonna like put my hands on both of them and kind of give them a shake and say, well, I like killed the dragon, so like come back now. Like
You see both of their eyes, like, the little boy, you killed the dragon! I helped to kill the dragon, Pa! I helped to kill the dragon! And he's like, yes, boy, you did. And he just kind of wraps him up, and you see Conan and the kids start, they start following you back toward, you see Tina and the little girl, Emily, start walking up to you guys. So that's kind of that little exchange there. You guys are kind of gathering back to meet with the rest of the group. Anything else you wanted to do real quick before I jump to?
When I'm walking back over, I like tell the whole story. I'm like, yeah, I was riding his head, and then like everyone was hitting him from behind. I'm like, yeah, I was surfing on him, and I was like, whoa, hey. And then like everyone was getting him from behind, and we were just double teaming him. It was the 5. Like I'm like really stoked about it. Like telling the boy.
You see the kids just like jacked up about it. He's like, oh God, Paul, did you hear that? Oh, I helped kill the dragon. Hey, look at me. And he like runs over to a bucket and like hops up on it, and he puts one hand down on the bucket, and he's like, Paul, look at me. I'm double teaming him real hard. Look at me, Paul. And he's just like, yeah, and he's kind of like air humping this bucket while he's just giving it to this dragon. And you see he's totally pumped. He just loves this, that he's just like every embellishment you add to the story, he's hanging on every word. And you talk about the barrel roll, and he's like, oh, and he rolls on the ground in a little tussle of sand.
Yeah, but I still hang out with kids, but I don't understand like limit with them. So I'm like, let's look at a dead body, and I'm like helping him over, like, let's go check.
He's like, Dad, can I get him? And his father's still just like, he's listening to your tale, and he's like, he knows this is like legit, that you're not, you're not just telling some tall tale to his son. The great folk hero, Brunor, the Serpent, the Serpent Slayer. In this moment, he's realizing again, if you'll recall, as he said, you guys are writing a whole new song with your actions right now. And he is kind of looking at his son in disbelief as these high magic dragons and rebirth and all of this, and your tale of such glory of riding a great green dragon 80 feet into the air, hanging on one-handed, beating your blade into its head with your shield. and you're just rushing to show the gushing open wound to the little boy. And I would say Kona literally so mystified right now that he's just letting you take the kid right over to it. So you guys are going to have a little fun, time, but we'll kind of hit that as the group.
Yeah, and then while we're all gathered, I want to cast Channel Divinity Life to heal everybody a little bit.
Okay.
Since everybody's been shaken. Woo.
So this is yes. So Tina, kind of this is the first time that you've used the life cleric channel divinity. So I'm sorry, I have to hit this with there's that good track that Sandy just does so good. So Tina,
God,
you
so
looking at these children, they both, as Tovos is excitedly, slow motion humping this imaginary dragon on a barrel, you kind of start looking around and you see leaves falling in slow motion around you. And even though surrounded by destruction and chaos, you can't help but feel the touch of the innocence of these children's eyes as they look upon you, as if they're looking at some great benevolent spirit of something. You've never had this kind of instant adulation from the people around you. And you find, as you look around, that the breeze, the moment, everything is perfect and as it's supposed to be. It's the agents of the world that bring so much ugliness to the world around you, but the world itself is a beautiful place. And you feel that water, that river of holy light within you start reaching out, and you feel the flow of that same energy in the trees around you, the grass, the dirt, even the cobblestone bricks, and you start peeling those waves towards yourself, and you draw it in, and this holy light just kind of wells up in front of you. And then, as if pouring a drink of water into the mouths of those around you, you offer this healing energy in this like saintly procession. And you look down, and so everybody, basically you have 30 points of healing to give out. Brunor's over half, I believe, so she can't get it. So you could basically top off the little girl, Tovos, and Kona to half their health.
There we go.
I just want to make sure I'm completely out of range of this.
Currently, yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Unless we could actually, Tina, we could save that moment. Do you want to wait till I do the side quests with everybody and do it when everybody's back together?
Perhaps then,
Okay, cool.
yeah.
So yeah, that's not a problem at all.
Yeah.
So same thing. That
nice.
moment is happening. Everybody else around you is moving in slow motion, and you notice that you're stepping in out of time. Like you're moving with normal movement through a 50% world. And right now you're just kind of drawing upon those energies. Your hands kind of go out, and as you touch the stone, you feel that flowing energy go into you, and you start channeling it. But you almost start glowing with this holy energy, and you see the children. Even Tovos finally stops and looks as this shining energy glows off of you, and they all start following you toward the center, where Brunor's headed and everybody's headed. So you're getting ready to call upon this wellspring of life energy. So yes, beautiful. We're gonna jump over to you, Divot. So you kind of went off by yourself down here to the south, right? Okay, so I'm just getting you the right music, bro.
Get bored.
You just need the music.
Get bored.
All right, so Divot, as you kind of step around, you see the kids, you kind of hear the shouting of these children from over the way, and as you hear the laughter of Tovos, you recall standing at the steps of, the ashen steps of Death's throne, and that little boy running through the void of nothingness, and you having the power to return that life to him in exchange for something else. And as you come around and the laughter of the child fades away, you start hearing the heartbeat again. And it starts beating. You feel it.
Quietly slip into the building that I hear the beating from.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and reveal it. You're standing by this wooden door, You know, and you can see some scratch marks on it, like the wormlings had tried to claw their way inside. But it's a pretty stern door, you know, the likes of which you've seen at many an inn as a bard yourself. You know, when they're closed, they're closed. And you kind of put a little push on the door. It doesn't budge. Suddenly you feel your skeleton hand set on the door. The door just shoots off its hinges. It shoots across the room, revealing the inside of this small kind of pub bar inn, you know, a couple sleeping beds, a small dining, eating area, and you see the door in front of you shoots across the 15-foot kind of lobby area and blasts into this cupboard on the other side, knocking a couple plates and, you know, cups down. You hear the great clashing of glass as you as you step, you know, into the doors of this thing. You kind of look around, you know, the old Terminator look around, and you feel that heartbeat echoing, and like the vibrations of a musical instrument that you've played 1,000 times. You feel as the echo comes off the cobblestone and wooden shelves, and it's almost like you can focus in and you know exactly where this heart is. And it's pinging from back here behind this second like little shelf area where there's a bunch of storage boxes and stuff. You know, you imagine where they like keep the cutlery and stuff. But you sense the heartbeat, and as this great clashing sound, you know, blows, the heartbeat rhythm starts to pick up a little bit faster. You look over and you see, kind of like poking his head up, is this man with very tan, like desert tan skin. You know, almost like an olive oil colored skin with really dark black hair. And he pokes up, he has big black bushy eyebrows and heavy dark set eyes. He kind of looks up at you a little bit, you know, snatches his head up, sees you, and then puts his head back down for a moment. What do you do?
I want to cross over to him. But let me see. Can I get to about here?
Yeah. So yeah, you just step right on top. You know, you walk right onto this table. You just step up onto a chair, step up onto the table, and you're standing on the table, just kind of like looking over down where he's like trying to hide. You can now see him pretty well. You know, he's got kind of a sleeveless long, it's like one of those jackets that also like has tails. It goes all the way down to his feet, like a long black one. His arms are exposed, and he has a bunch of tattoos all over his skin, just these inked designs and stuff. You're kind of looking at him. If you want to make, go give me like a perception check to see if you can notice any distinguishing tattoos on this guy.
Oh.
Just straight for
Like a tattoo that says mom on it?
Or wow.
16, nice. Unfortunately, the 20. This was didn't have advantage on this one. You look down, and pretty readily you see, you know, on his left bicep, he's got this. It's like a God, I'm forgetting the name. A manticle. Manacle. There we go. Man, I've been thinking manticores too much. There's a manacle, and it's got a broken chain in between these two locked manacle circles. And you immediately recall the last time you saw that was when you watched the fire reflecting on Brackus the Mired way back in Tilmore at his camp. And Brackus the Mired had that same tattoo. And so it's just something that kind of sticks out to you. You have seen that tattoo before on somebody back in the Tilmore refugee camp. So yes, you see him. He kind of like sees that you're just standing up. You know, you're not super tall or anything, but you're standing on a table. So even he, you know, kind of starts pushing himself up over the shelf, and he looks at you and he's like, "What do you want? What are you here for? Are the dragons dead? Did you kill them? Are they gone?" And you see he's got really dirty, nasty, black-stained teeth and like a gaunt face with just like really unkempt, unseemly, kind of like splotchy facial hair. And he's just kind of like, you see he's looking around, kind of scratching his neck. Dude seems like, you're very familiar with drugs. You would assume this guy's like on something right now. He's like, "Huh? Are they dead? Did you kill him? Huh? Did you kill him? Huh? Who are you? What are you doing? What are you doing in my..."
I take a deep breath. I'm like, and I hit him with hold person.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
All right. What is the saving throw? And your DC is 14?
16.
16. Okay.
Cool.
All right. So.
Oh,
Well, you rolled a 9. That is not good enough. So yeah, you see he's like, what do you? And you see he's just, your skeleton hand reaches out, and he's frozen. You see, right when he was scratching his neck, you froze his hand in place where he's almost choking himself. He's looking at you. His eyes are shaking, but his body can't move. You have him held. You hear the heartbeat start echoing in your mind. The balance. The acorn.
So this isn't a fight, so I can do something else, right?
Yeah. Well, he's held anyway. He can't do anything.
Okay. I point at him, and I use message to be like, give me a reason not to kill you right now.
All right. So your new cantrip, dope. He's held, so he wouldn't be able to talk normally. But message is a telepathic communication, and and you see he's. His eyes kind of shake as you send that message to his eye. You see his eyes grow wide, and he's just like searching his brain, like he has no idea who you are or what he could offer you. And you see him as like the only thing that can move is his eyes as he's trying to figure something out. And you hear the reply back in his head: "I know people. I know where they are. I know where you can find him. I could tell you. You looking for someone shady? I could find him. I'll tell you where they are. I'll sell him out in a moment. I just want to live.
Snitch.
All right. I cross over to him, keeping him held.
You see his own hand pressed on his throat as his eyes shake and look at you. The heartbeat continues.
I reach into my bag and I grab the owlbear claws that I pulled off the dead owlbear that we fought.
Yes, these long, like raptor, 4-inch long, razor sharp owlbear claws. His eyes grow wide.
oh yeah.
I slowly rake them down his face and cut his throat
You
and
stuff.
stuff.
Talk.
Stop.
So I just want to clear, are you intending to just bleed him out?
Torture. I think.
I'd like to leave him I'd like to I don't want to cut his throat so much he can't talk while he's dying.
Yeah.
But I could talk to him even when he was dead.
That's right.
So it doesn't really matter.
You're getting away
Good
from
point.
me, bro. So yeah, you see, Divot, you pull out these long razor sharp claws, and you take the moment to admire them. You look at how sharp, and and how much power the animal that you took this from. Again, that balance of taking the life of this noble beast. You set them between your fingers.
I say to him, I have to save the boy.
You see his eyes grow wide as you draw the owlbear claws, raking them across his face. The blood, immediately starts pooling from the top of the cut as you drag it slowly, deliberately down his face. You finally reach the point where his own hand sits, and you just push with such strength that they fillet directly through his hands, severing the throat underneath. And you see his fingertips just drop, still frozen with magic. You cut through and drag away the skin of his throat, and you see as the veins that lay bared beneath start ushering out this purple and blue hot blood. And you look down and you see you have this person right before the final moment. And he looks up at you with his eyes, as they start to pool with blood, and he's screaming from behind his frozen body at you. What do you do?
Tell him.
I'm like, sorry, pal. orders from above. And I like blow some smoke at him.
You see it washes over his face. His eyes confused, still not grasping what's happened or why or who even the hell you are. His eyes continue to scream as you blow a cloud of smoke over him, adding a little insult to injury. And he doesn't quite understand. And as you
I look at him and I'm like, fuck, this is heavy, isn't it?
And you see his eyes like, they're, I can't, that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Good. That's really good. That's exactly what they would be doing. You're so right.
There he goes.
Oh god.
So basically I want it to look like one of the dragons slashed him, and then I'm gonna walk out and join my friends.
Yes. Obviously.
So you see as this pool of blood that's spilling forth from him, staining the front, his exposed chest is just covered in his own blood, and it starts to pool at your feet. And as the red, thick blood spills around your boot, you feel that echoing through the blood pool. And you start, as a bard, drawing the music of death. As you draw upon this energy and it starts pulling through the blood, first through your toes, then your legs. You feel it swelling inside of you. And as you look down at your skeletal hand for a moment, you see the acorn twirling, growing a little larger, and then remelding with your hand, which is still skeleton. You see the three parts of him that have been slashed in thirds, as the burning magic kind of divides him. He falls into thirds. One side of his body just to one side, the other to the other. You look around, you look at the door. The door's got big claw marks in it. You kind of nod, and you're very proud of the scene that you've just laid bare. You have fulfilled the deal that you made with your otherworldly patron. The man who gives you your warlock powers right now is pleased. But yeah, so you see the acorn grow a little bit in size and reform with your body, kind of a physical manifestation of this change in power from your new level in warlock. By reaping this soul, completing the contract. In this moment, you feel that fire in your arm once more that you couldn't control before, and suddenly you're making it dance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, boy. You are now, legit in this. You are now a warlock. You feel the connection to your otherworldly patron, Death himself, sending you his energy. Happy you've fulfilled your end of the bargain, bringing Tovos back and reaping the soul of Magnus. Go ahead and make a. Actually, no. That's. I'm sorry. That's the end of your thing. Rial, we jump over to you. Divot, you kind of walk out, leaving the scene and rejoin. Rial, you get to this first house. All of these doors, you do a quick check just to kind of do it for the sake of speed. They're all locked. That's really not too big of a problem for you. But you see some of the scratches on the doors and stuff. It seems like the wormlings kind of gave up on this area because these are a little more well fortified, a little more permanent than some of the other structures in the city. They seem to have been here longer. So you kind of put your ear up to the door. You don't really hear anything inside this first building. You're still more than welcome to try to go into it if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. Can I actually pick this lock, and then can I send my mage hand ledger domain to the next house and try and pick that one at the same time?
Yes, because it's so dope. You immediately notice that they're the exact same locks. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking medieval locks. They're not super advanced or anything. And so you take out your thieves' tools and you kind of like hand one off to this spectral hand that takes it from you, and then it floats over, and while you unlock one of the locks, the ghost spectral hand that you have for being an arcane trickster is following the exact same things that you're doing and unlocking it next to you. Cool. So yeah, these two buildings are now unlocked.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, so you feel the little lock latch unlock, and these are kind of basic locks. You bruise. Your skill with sleight of hand is so high, you actually cannot fail this check. It's a 10, and you have plus 10. So
wow.
Okay. Yeah.
You can just
no.
pick these locks. So you know, without even really a bead of sweat on your eyebrow, you managed to successfully pick 2 locks at the same time. Yeah, this door opens, and you see that these, like I said, kind of seem to be the houses of the people that live here. They don't serve like a commercial function. You know, there's a couple wooden walls in front of you. This is kind of like a little welcoming area that you step into first. And you kind of make your way around this wall, and you see there's like a table with some food set on it, but it all seems to be really old. Flies are starting to get to it. It kind of bends around here toward a little kitchenette, and there's another little corner. You know, you kind of peek around, and it's just a bed there. No signs of life or anything like that. You know, you kind of look under the bed and stuff. If you want to, like, pat down the place, if you want to look for valuables, you can, if you're so inclined, or you can just move on to the next building.
No, I'm just looking for people right now. So I'll prestidigitate like the smell out of here, because yuck. If someone's gonna come home, like, why come back to a stinky home? So I'm gonna do that and then check out the second unlocked house.
All right, so you move down. The door is already waiting. You know, you're the only one that can see your invisible hand, but it's like, after you. It gives you like a little free gesture, and then returns. You know, it just kind of blends with your own hand
It's so
as you walk
polite.
through. Yes,
Oh, I love
yes.
that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
so
like
nice.
it's like Thing from Adam's Family.
Hell yeah.
So yes, it offers you to go in and then just remelds with your own hand. And you step in. This one actually looks a little bit nicer as far as like the types of things that are in there. A nice green thick rug on the ground. Another kind of waiting area. You see a lot of mud on the ground from where like people come in with muddy boots and would leave them there. You know, very kind of homey place. It smells, you know, even you kind of are reminded of your time back in the forest. It's got that, you know, people have been stepping on tree pine, and there's just like a little bit of pine smell in the air. And it just, you know, it reminds you of the forests that you've spent most of your life in. And you know, try to push some of the darker memories away and remember the good times, the smell of the trees, the smell of the old books, you know, and the like. You continue on kind of looking back around. You see one larger bed and a little desk here in the back that's like a little writer's table with a chair. But yeah, that's all you see. You don't see anybody in this one either.
Okay, those good memories, they spark something in me. Shit's been weird lately, but I just kind of have those good feelings where I feel like Kindly would just like poof in this house before I go search the rest of them. I don't know.
Yeah, you
Those good
know,
vibes.
in that moment, you know, the throwing up, the losing your composure in that moment from having to kind of do some heavy thing that feels somewhat against your nature in a way that nothing else ever has to this point. This reminder of finding the good in the bad, you know, remembering the smell of trees through your prison bars that would waft down the hallway from time to time when Urgon left the door open for too long, and you'd actually get like a moment of bliss, just this sweet smell of pine, you know, blowing down. And in that moment, you kind of let that warm memory, your ability to push on through the shadow, and it kind of reconnects you with your cause, and you feel pretty good right now, man.
Pine Sol.
Hey, that's a rare thing for poor Riel, so good for him.
Good for her.
All right, so you pop out and you come down over here to this third one. You know, again, you kind of, as you like walk, as you like have that memory, your little ghost hand shoots around and unlocks this third door. One sec. So you
what's in number 3?
exactly, yeah. You
What's behind door number 3?
push your ear to the door, and this like weird vibration starts to kind of like overcome you. You feel like a magical energy. You pull your head away from the door. You touch the door, and you hear the lock unlatch. You start pushing the door open, and you see before you this little girl floating 2 feet in the air. She's got this like stitched up soft pink little girl sundress, and her eyes are glowing blue. And she's just floating there in front of you. She raises her hand, and this swelling blue energy starts summoning to her hand. She looks forward at you, reaches out, And that's where we're going to pick it up after intermission.
God! How do you do it every time?
Every fucking time.
Yes,
I'm so pissed at myself.
that's right. By the way, I laugh all the time at our chat where people are trying to guess when I'm going to throw cliffhangers. So I'm excited to see who saw that one coming. All right, guys, we are going to take ourselves a short rest, just a nice 10-minute intermission. Definitely hang around. That's all the fan art that's been submitted, all the great music that Sandy makes. We have this awesome intermission video. Definitely check it out. Hang around. Use the restroom. Use your hit dice. We are going to be back, and we're going to find out what's up with this crazy little blue-eyed girl.
This little bitch. Esmeralda. I remember her name.
Esmeralda.
Esmeralda.
I'm saying.
Get out of the sky, Esmeralda.
Come on.
Yeah, welcome back, guys. Holy crap, that was some fun D&D. Things were pretty awesome and epic and exciting, so we're gonna freaking jump right back in. Rial, you see floating before you this little girl with the glowing blue eyes floating 2 feet in the air, summoning these blue waves of energy to her hand. Sorry, the music didn't play. Shooting to her hand, and suddenly from her eyes, this blue light beams over your body. And for a moment in the flash of the light, you remember being strapped on this table. And you remember looking around, trying to discern what's going on, and seeing Ergon hunched over this book. And as he looks up at you, his eyes start shining blue. And from the blue light that cascades over the book, you read on the back, or on the front, the cover that says, The Shekinah Prophecy. The blue light flashes. You see the little girl floating in front of you, this large ball of blue energy in her hand. And suddenly, it shoots away. Her eyes fade back into a normal color, and you see this girl as her hair lifts up and her body starts to ragdoll and fall toward the ground. You, with your quick dexterity, are fast enough to jump to attention, and you manage to, catch her with your arms. You slide your hand behind her back as her whole body, the entire weight of it, completely falls back. You're holding on to this little girl, looking down. She's unresponsive. Her chest is going up and down, so she is breathing, but she's completely unconscious. You kind of look at her for a moment. Her eyes, she seems so fragile and weak after this great display of power that you've just seen. Had you not just moments before seen her shining and floating in the air, you'd swear you're holding an ordinary, 6-year-old girl. Her small, sun-dried pink sundress that flows, again, kind of like all the other clothes for the children, is a little too big for her. And she just sags. She's not even very heavy. You're just kind of holding her easily in your arms. But her arms dangle, toward the ground, and she's completely out.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the house? Because I want to get her out of there, if not.
You kind of, hold her up to your chest and start looking around. Still a little mystified at that vision you just saw in your head, unaware of why it happened. And you're looking around. Go ahead and make a perception check.
Okay.
Really?
Your passive is pretty good, so if there was somebody there, you would notice them. But if you want to kind of look around specifically.
Yeah, we just leveled
what if you
up.
crit,
So let's test some of this out.
19, very good. You kind of hold her and start looking around, just trying to make any sense out of this epic event that you just saw. Questioning your own, did that really just happen? Did I just see that? This girl is so frail and small. How could this be? You start looking around for any signs, anything that may lead you to an answer of any kind. And all you see is just over kind of ragdolled on this little red carpet near the wall here. You just see a little child's toy. It's this little green stuffed, you would kind of think it's a bird of some kind. It's not very well made, but it's just this stretched green fabric stuffed with some cotton and straw. But it's clearly a child's toy.
Okay. I'll use Mage Hand to grab the toy, and then I'd like to make way towards Tina. I can hear other children, so yes. I'm gonna bring the girl out with the toy, and then.
All right, so you don't even bother turning.
There's a lot of kids that have seen some fucked up shit, so.
Right.
Yeah, you don't even have to turn and cast. Your floating hand at the thought just comes off from you, and only you can see it. It's normally invisible. You see it float over and grab the toy. You step out and you see as Divot is stepping out of this building here, just kind of looking around. He seems to be breathing pretty nice, smoking on one of his cigars. And you see he kind of takes a big deep breath of the air outside, takes a nice draw on his cigar, blows it out, looks over at you. And Rial, for a second, you kind of just get a weird shiver down your spine. You don't know why. And Divot, begins walking away, kind of toward where the children and Tina and Brunor are as well, and you with the child in your arms kind of begin following. As you get to about the doorway, you do, with your insanely good passive perception, you kind of like stop for a moment, feeling the energy where Divot was just standing. You kind of look inside. You see the door, where the hinges would be, has been blown off, and the door is with these great giant animal scratches, has been like pushed against this far wall and broke some like glasses and cutlery. But yeah, it looks like, from what you're seeing, Divot did a good enough job. It would appear that one of those wormlings did get inside this building. And so Divot didn't really say anything to you about it, but you do notice, that one strange, odd detail where the hinges were blown off, rather than torn through. But that you have no reason to, be suspicious, really. But it's just a strange, a sight of some of the chaos that was taking place before you guys arrived. So
one
Thor
might perceive that.
Yeah, just passively, and with your dope 19. So yeah, you have the little girl in your arms, and you kind of start walking over. You see Divot kind of joins the group as you guys begin to as well. As this is going on, Thoricus, you return once more. You hear
Tanara?
No, you hear Albie.
Albie.
Just like, come on, father, come on. The damage is the dragons are gone. They're gone. And he's like trying to like help him up. You just kind of hear him from around the way. You push open the little wooden half door of the blacksmith's forge, and you see Tanara is still bent over this little anvil here in the middle, just kind of like out of it and bent over the thing with, like I said, a little pool of like cough up spittle beneath her.
Yeah. Okay. So she's unconscious, and I have already kind of come to the assumption that she took a breath weapon and is suffering from that.
Correct. Yeah. If you wanted to, now that things have kind of calmed down, if you want to try like some of your battlefield medicine, try a medicine check on her. You might be able to like stabilize her.
I would like to do that.
So you pull out your soldier field kit basically that you were given all those years ago in Kulmara. So readily has Tina magically healed many of your wounds that you're like, oh yeah, we used to have to wrap our wounds with bandages. And so you pull out your bandage roll, and you're kind of like looking at how you could position her to maybe get a little air into her lungs. And go ahead and give me a medicine check. You kind of prop her up, look at her, you take your hand and kind of push on her stomach to try to get a little air. Extremely medical. Nice, 19, good enough. So yeah, you do manage to stabilize her. You pull out some of your smelling salts, and you crack them, and just kind of, you see she rears her head back at the smell and coughs. A little bit of this like green, nasty phlegm just splats out. You see there's a little blood in it. She's not doing great, but she's not dying anymore, and she is stabilized. She kind of looks up at you with hazy eyes, completely unaware of who you are.
And I'm gonna step up and take this moment to flex some of my new level 6 casting abilities as well. I'm going to cast my channel divinity right now in this moment, and now that we're all gathered, I'm going to heal everybody.
Nice. So you guys, the group following Tina, you've got Tovas following Brenor excitedly as they head toward the dragon. You have Emily following just with glowing eyes staring at Tina, who's kind of leading the way, fingers scraping across the walls and kind of drawing energy from all the various life that just surrounds even the death and decay of this attacked building. You see, the wind and breeze that's kind of always present and blowing, and that spins the great windmill. Kind of starts blowing and pushing you all forward as a group as you all kind of end up landing. Select you all. You kind of end up walking past the dragon and landing roughly. Kind of get Rial out of the tent. Right over in this area. You see Albie, kind of propping his father up. He's kind of shouldering over him, helping him around the way here. You see they kind of squeeze past the ballista. And you see Kumal, stabilized for the first time, kind of shambled brown and black armor, suits of, actually in studded leather armor, more well-equipped than anybody else was in town. You see he's kind of hunched over, and he's got these really heavy eyes and kind of an off-putting disposition as his son is kind of leading him around the bend here. And Tina, you see this other child who, again, you know, as he's leading his father up, he kind of looks up at you and his eyes glow. And even all of you kind of in this majestic moment kind of realize the shine in the eyes of these children as she begins to draw and the wind kind of wisps around her. And you feel this breeze of this river of life that she feels. You start feeling it emanate from her. And this big 30-foot globe of energy grows around you as the spinning wind kind of makes this big bubble around all of you. And you see as the grass at your feet just starts beginning to bloom, as if like several months of time were going by. And these great stalks of wheat start sprouting from the ground. And as this wheat, you know, the soft, tickly touch of the wheat washes over you, you feel, anybody that's below half health, you know, you feel this restorative power just start blowing over you. You see all the children looking up. The sun, still frozen, shoots a beam of light on this orb, and it glows with this glowing, ominous, just pulsing golden glow. You see everybody within, and even the body of Tanara, you know, now propped up on this anvil. She takes a deep breath into her lungs, and it's like they're all taking a real clean breath for the first time since the assault of these dragons. You see the children, the adults, everybody breathes in. And then just as it all came, it all grows back into the ground, and the breeze blows away. As Tina's healing life, her channel divinity, she has bestowed healing energy upon all those present.
There we are.
Hell yeah!
Damn.
So yeah, you guys are kind of, you know, you see after this like big shining moment, you know, Tovas, he just blinks his eyes, and he's like, well, I feel a lot better. Can I go look at the dragon now? And you see Kona's like, oh, yes, of course. And go ahead, boy. And you see he just starts running over toward this giant mangled dragon. Oh, wow, look at that. Everybody else is still kind of bewildered. But you're all standing there, you know. Tanara props herself up and kind of steps outside. Thoricus, you join her. Here you are, you know, you're all standing around in this great circle, you know, the crumbled church still smoldering behind you with, you know, the flayed corpse of the young wormling dragon that you know, decided to put the execution on. The skewered massive corpse of this, you know, this young dragon with the giant tent pole and the stained canvas, blood-stained canvas that's draped over it, that's being eaten away by like the natural acid within this beast. But yeah, here you stand, you know, kind of looking around at each other. It's been a wild sequence of events here. Nobody really knows what to say.
I look at everybody and I look up at the dragon, and I'm like, I love that color green. I wonder if I could make a suit out of him.
And you see, like, as you make the statement, you know, your allies are kind of like, classic divot. The kids seem terrified of you. Like, they finally, like, look over, and then there you are with, like, this, like, skeleton arm. And you see they're just like, except for Tovas, who's just, like, really digging on this big dead dragon. And he's like, look, it's eating away the acid, ew! And he's, like, poking at it with a stick. You know, you still see that.
I look down and I'm like, oh no, my head! Ow! Oh!
And yeah, you see all the kids run over behind Kumal, except for Tovas, who's just like playing, who's playing with the the dead dragon. But yeah, you see the kids like all run away, like the acid's gonna eat us, and they all run behind, except for the unconscious child who's still being carried by Riel.
I was gonna ask him, like, is she?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to move her.
I got.
No, he froze.
The internet has stolen. Yes, maybe we can bring him back, guys.
Playing my song, butterflies flying.
There he
We
is.
got him. We did it. It worked. Don't say magic doesn't work in real life, because it just did.
You froze for a second.
We got you back, Jay.
Okay, thank goodness.
Do it.
All right. Coming back. Sorry about that, y'all.
It's that little
Every
girl.
time.
She messes up your internet reception. She's like so. Like, that was like
Swear
such a
to God.
disruptive event.
She's that powerful.
Mm-hmm.
You see, as Divot, you kind of play out that your hand's burning. The kids are like legit scared. They run behind their father. They're just like hiding. Kumal's still kind of like hunched over, and you see him. He's like looking around at you guys, just like pretty amazed. Like he thought for sure that the next time he looked around the city, it would be like destroyed or, And he's looking around, and you see his eyes look past you and Rial and Brunor, and they fall upon Kona. And you see, even though he's weak and tired, he stands up and he goes, "You fucking coward!" And he pushes the kids back. He's like, "Stay back, kids. Your uncle's a coward." And he stands up and he's like, "I may be weak and I may have almost died, but you're no brother of mine. I saw what you did." And even though, this kind of calm sense of silence has washed over you all, it breaks as you see Kona's eyes connect with his brother's, and you see him break a little bit inside. "No, I had no choice. They were coming. He would have had me." No, I don't want to hear it, coward. You are not welcome in this town. You were supposed to protect these children. Look at what happened! Look! And he points around. Look at your sick boy, playing in death. Sick like his father. I'll have none of you. I thank you, heroes, for saving me. But you're a fool for saving him. And he grabs the two children and he just starts walking away. He's a little mad. He starts walking over toward the houses.
Honestly, the behavior of the people that we saved does not reflect upon the fact that we like to save. Oh, all right, bye. That's all right. He walks away.
He's already gone.
It's fine, whatever.
You guys, you can still follow and talk to him or whatever. It's just his intention to. He doesn't want to be around Kona right now.
Yeah, but didn't he forget one of his kids? Doesn't he have 3 kids?
Yeah, he didn't take the one from Rio.
What the fuck?
Yeah, let Riel sort it out.
Yeah, is she still out? We wake this kid up. I've got some questions.
So you see she was as part of that healing pulse of light. You feel that even her breathing against your chest, has become lighter, and as she's breathing well as too. She's just like completely tired. Like she's like not unconscious from health. She's asleep from fatigue. So, you kind of like lay her down gently on the ground in front of you. You see she's just so unremarkable compared to the vision that you saw. You remember her hair being like a magical bright white color with these glowing blue eyes. But her hair is just like a soft, sun-kissed blonde hair, almost a strawberry blonde. And she just has such weak and delicate features. Nobody else but you saw this, Rial. So, Rial, you lay the child down and kind of start going about trying to, provide healing as well. Tina, you walk up and you let him know that it's not that she's weak from injury. It's that she's asleep from being tired. And so do you still want to attempt to rouse her? Thoricus still has his smelling salts if you wanted to use them.
No. I'm just gonna leave the toy with her and just set her somewhere where she can just get some rest.
Sir, you forgot your tired ass child.
So you see Tanara.
Child. You forgot your unremarkable child.
You see Tanara kind of quickly, after seeing, you helping her, she's like, yes, here. And let me reveal her house. She's like, I have a bed. And she kind of gets up, she with more energy now from the healing magic of Tina. And she's like, come along, child. And she scoops her, very gently and protectively. She scoops her up and goes and just lays her in this bed here in the attached house by the forge.
Damn it, I thought she was going to invite me in there.
You see she sets her down and then does come back out. You see she comes out and she looks like embarrassed a little bit. She looks up at you all and kind of takes measure of the sight of the people around her, and she says, I'm so sorry for how you've been treated. You saved us. You saved our town. You saved the children. Bless you. And you see she goes over and Tina, she like places a hand on your shoulder. She's, bless you. She turns around to Bruno, bless you. Going, Thoricus, she kind of walks up to you and stops for a moment. And you see she does pause and kind of reflect on her hand as she kind of like grazes it down the strong arm of your shoulder. And bless you, dwarf.
Fuck.
So yeah, you catch a little, you catch a little something there. And then yes, she continues to. But you see, even she, Divot, doesn't like. She kind of looks up to go and extend this blessing to you and Rial, and even she kind of stops. Like she's not rude about it, but she seems cautious to approach you, and she just looks up, and bless you all. Here. And she's just looking around. She's like at a complete loss. She doesn't really know what to say. Do you guys have anything to offer? You see Kona just kind of starts crying to himself and drops to his knees. He's right. I am a coward. I am a coward. And he gets up and starts running into the trees. Off to the north.
Bye.
The dragons are already dead.
Grab him.
You grab him?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rial, you're fast enough. You have your cutting action and everything. You see as he starts running to the trees, he kind of like goes to push back Tina and squeeze between these two buildings, and you just quickly jump over, and you grab him by the scruff of his shirt, and he kind of stops, and he's just like sadly flailing. He's not even like pulling away from you with strength. It's just like he just wants to run. He's so ashamed of himself in this moment, and in the look that his brother gave him, and hearing of his seeing his child. All of this just kind of hit him. And he's just like, you see, he just kind of gives up fighting you, and he falls on the ground. You're still kind of holding his shoulder up, and he has one hand on the ground and the other on his face. And he's like, I'm such ashamed. I'm such ashamed. Drop my boy. Couldn't save my own son.
I'm gonna lift him up. Sometimes you just gotta give someone a hug, damn it. He really seems like he's in need of just a good old-fashioned hug. His son's alive anyway, so it'll be just a real good treat. Just gonna lift him up and just bear hug him.
Good for you.
I like it.
Good for you.
All right, Rial, look down upon this man, full of complete sorrow, the likes of which very few are familiar with, but you, more so than many. You just see a broken man in front of you. He doesn't seem malicious. He doesn't, there's not a strength in him. It's the absence of anything. He's so let down. And in that same pit where you felt that growing sickness that drew you to throw up on the ground, from that same well and resource, you feel this overarching urge toward goodness. And though, yes, this man may have done some silly things, it was all in the name of fear. And that's stronger than many, many men, and he's no exception. You reach down, you hook him underneath his armpits and kind of stand him up, and he turns to you. He wipes a tear from his face, and he just looks at you like a man with no purpose in the world. His arms hang at his side. Tears fill his face. And you wrap him in a hug. And he just lets it out. And he wraps his arm around you. And you all watch as this, in this very genuine kind of touching display of empathy, as Rial just reaches out to this man and lets him kind of cry it out on his shoulder. And after a good minute of such purging, you see finally he lifts his head, wipes his eyes. I've heard the Song of the Five. We didn't believe it. No way your fables could be true. But here you stand before me. Saviors. Heroes of the truest form. You've saved my life. You have somehow saved my son's life. And I am eternally grateful. Rial, thank you. Thank you for saving me again. And he kind of looks over at Tovos playing.
You hug that boy. Hug you. I'm 10.
Ooh, we lost Jake again. You see, there we go. We got him back.
Yeah.
So we lost
There
you
we
there,
go.
Jake. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. He seems a bit better. I'm just gonna tell him, like, that hug I just gave you, give it to your son, but like times 10. Just
You see, he looks you in the eyes. True. I have to be a hero too. For his sake. And he looks over at Tovos and his eyes kind of well up. And he looks at you all again. Truly, thank you. Thank you. And he runs over and you see Tovos like, oh, Paul, look at this. They just burned a big old hole. It's through his chin. And he's like, yes, boy. Yes. And he wraps him and some tears, wipe over his eyes. And you kind of, he's having a touching moment with the boy. You guys are kind of, allow it to take place. And as the five regather, now the five that have slain a dragon, you see Tanara kind of still keeping close to Thoricus, looks around at you all. What now? What do we do now? You see, she genuinely doesn't know.
Oh.
Oh.
I thought that was like a rhetorical question.
Yeah, that's
It
usually
was,
what
but she also she kept searching for a moment. Was like
We
genuinely.
were
realized.
hoping
But
that you knew.
Grab
You-
a bite and a drink, pub, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a nap.
See if there's like a
Yeah.
shop or talk to the
Can
black.
anyone uncurse this? And
And we could try, but I don't know.
You see, she, again, her fingers still kind of lingering around your elbow. Even she kind of turns in that moment. She looks down. And she's like, oh, such a forging of dark steel. I've not seen anything like it. And she starts running her finger kind of along the rim of the axe blade, softly, faintly. And her fingers kind of trail down the shaft of the axe. And you see they rest upon the black onyx stones. And you see as her fingers, touch the stones begin kind of growing over the side of her finger, and she wisely pulls them away quickly.
yeah, you don't want that.
And I've never seen this kind of magic. Or this blade. Did you smith it? I've heard the dwarves are great smithers.
Well, I mean, I'm okay. I did not smith. Well, maybe I did. I mean, that was another dimension, right? Or
Yeah, to be
another
fair,
plane of
you,
existence, like
you don't know.
the time continuum, something or other.
Yeah.
I guess I could have smithed it in some other life, or
Yeah.
See, again, just like
Yeah,
the
it-
presence of such magic and the things you're talking about are like beyond her, smithing experience. And she's just
I
like,
didn't do this. Okay, I like to pee with both of my hands, so this is not me.
she's just like, a curse. I've heard of cursed blades. A magic weapon, no doubt. And she's just kind of just like she knows what she's doing. She's kind of looking at this axe, like amazed at some of the finer crafting. Again, it seems like a dark metal, but it broke out of this stone, so it has this strange otherworldly darkness to it. Coming from the plane of the Shadowfell. So, you guys are kind of like, man, what the crap? The smoldering building is kind of burning around you. You hear, Tovos and Kona having their family moment as Kuval Kamalstein storms off with his two kids. You're all just standing there, and it's just like, oh man, like it's just so heavy and it's so awkward. Like you're like, Divot's hand is weird. Tina's, holier than ever. Rial threw up in front of all you guys. It's just like a lot of things have happened. Thoricus missed with the trebuchet, not the trebuchet, the ballista. And he feels a little bad about it. There's a dead dragon behind you. You guys have now killed a dragon. Yes, dragons are real, and you've killed them. And while you're just taking this in. Again, 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks now time since you all met. Doing that small job on the Shattered Isles. And it's just like, you can't help but laugh a little bit as that energy that emanates from Divot, and so often does, kind of washes over you. The simple irony, looking around at the state of each of you, battle-torn and the high magic things that have just been taking place. You look at Brunor with, her glowing newness, this new strength. All of you are level 6 now. You glow a little stronger, a little more fitting into your epic moment. And this just strange little sense of irony kind of spreads over you guys as, smiles creep across your faces, Here you are, the 5, once more, standing near a smoldering building, a dead magical creature, and having literally saved the day once more.
A church, no doubt.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys are down one church, but
But have all the kids. So we're getting better, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys are getting way better at this. This is dope.
Yeah.
Divot didn't turn to stone this time. He only died this time.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he back, he just got a skelly hand.
Yeah.
Skelly hand.
Yeah, skelly hand, but he'll just... Yeah, don't be jelly of the skelly. He just has to get like a cool glove or some shit.
That's our friend, damn it. Oh, don't be jelly of the skelly.
Don't be jelly of the skelly, that's our
Don't be
friend.
jelly of that. I don't think he's skelly, folks. This skelly.
Yo, I kind of just want to I'll just hold it behind me while I'm talking to people all the time.
Yeah. You just look regal as fuck all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys are kind of just like looking around again. It's the elephant in the room is the skeletal hand of Divot. Like everybody's like trying not to just like keep looking at it, but at any given time, all like 3 of the 4 of you are just staring at it, like not very well, hiding it. And as you feel that,
whoa, ooh, did you guys notice that too?
Curse buddies. Hey, Divot.
Divot, give me a
Curse
deception
buddy.
check. I want to see how well you pull this off. Maybe you can actually convince your party that this is just some crazy thing that happened.
Okay, let's see how well this goes.
I usually don't let you roll against your party, but a 25.
All right, so I'm just like, oh man, I was messing with those kids earlier, but I didn't realize it was actually like this.
That sounds wrong.
Ew.
You see David drops to the ground and is like, ah, what the? And he's like staring at his hand. Just like,
What happened? What did this?
I don't
See,
like that.
What had happened was,
I'm like, I stopped when the dragon sprayed me, I put my hand up, and I tried to stop it, and it just like, ah!
Right.
Whoa, that's so gnarly.
Whoa.
all right, Rial, you're the
Can I
only
check
one.
that?
You're
I
the
know
only
a lot
one I'm
about
giving
dragons.
this to because of you are very perceptive, and there's a couple things that just kind of seem weird in this situation. So you get an insight check, but the DC is 25.
Ooh,
Damn.
no. Hey,
Again, I don't usually let parties do too many rolls against each other. But no, you're looking at him. Rial, so convincing. Again, Divot lies with the aid of magic. So none of you really notice, but you buy this lie. And Rial, so much so do you buy the lie that you remember when you picked up Divot in the tent, he already had a skeleton arm, which wasn't the case, just so you know. It wasn't until he came to life after Tina healed him that he had the skeleton in. But right now, literally, Divot has so successfully deceived you guys that Rial, you actually are like, yeah, he did have that skeleton hand when I drove him out of the tent.
Well done.
Did?
Wow.
You know, bards, baby. Bards.
Wow.
Bugs, baby. Wow.
Wow.
Cool.
So Rial, do you kind of let's just say his deception's so good, even you like, I found him this way. You know what I mean? Like you kind of could corroborate his story a little bit, and let's just we can you guys can absolutely play your prior suspicions. Like I said, Real, things do still seem a little bit off, but again, his deception was so good through the aid of this bardic and warlock magic. You don't know if Death like turned the button up on that lie a little bit, but for whatever reason, Divot, this lie that you told seems to have completely worked, and everybody there present thinks that this is just some side effect of getting your arm burned off by a dragon.
In my head, I'm like, why did you do that? And I'm like, I don't know.
Thoricus, you too. Anybody that saw those breath weapons, like Thoricus, you took that breath weapon. It didn't do that to you. You know what I mean? Like, so again, you guys, you believe it just for the stake of like he used his magic and a skill.
Yeah.
But down the line, you know, it's like if there's any other inconsistencies, you know, we'll draw attention to them. But for right now, because he used his ability and he just deceived the crap out of you guys, and Real rolled terrible in his insight check.
He did.
He got a 5.
Sneaky little
you all
maid.
buy the bit. So, you know, you guys are, to help you, you know, as more questions start to bubble to, you know, like, oh, good, I came with a good lie. And then they're like, well, wait, there's some things that don't make sense about that. As you're putting these, like, you're like getting ready to dance on these lies, you hear a sound.
No.
You know, all of you, just like, so battle war, you know, just, it's always something bad. You quickly turn, each of you, you know, just grabs your blade, pulls your weapon to attention. Divot, your skeletal hand just kind of starts simmering with that fire as you all turn and look up this road, you know, the same road that you bypassed by sneaking up the river. And you hear the trotting sound of horses, and you hear this like rickety wood grinding sound. Like it's this weird sound, and you're all kind of like, wait a minute, what the? And you see come around the corner, the hoopty. You see your cart, the cart that you last saw outside of Buraka, is riding the four horses pulling it, and the rickety wheels and the frame of the wagon. You've seen it. You're just like, oh my gosh! And more importantly, sticking out either side of the doors of this wagon, you see this thick reptilian crocodile tail, waving super excitedly as the big giant crocodile, Brian the crocodile, still dressed up as the dragon from the festival. You see him like, he can't turn his head too much because he's like, he's like kind of stuck in the cart. But you see him looking down the road and like the wind is blowing his tongue back a little bit. And he just seems super excited as his tail shakes. And you see the entire carriage like shaking back and forth. Sitting at the driver's seat of your carriage are two knights in purple and silver armor. Stacking all these pictures is going to get a little weird, so just bear with me. They sit in the driver's seat and they're just kind of like trying to maintain this wild, insane, since the horses are pulling different directions, and it looks like maybe they're running at full speed, so like perhaps they were running from something, or you see them kind of hurling all the way down. And yes, coming up to this bridge, you see the horses stop. The two soldiers in the purple and silver armor stand. Each one of them almost at the same time jumps off. You see they walk back, kind of pull on the door a little bit, and Brian the crocodile is stuck under the carriage. You see just shoots out of the door, pushes one of the knights back. So strong is the great, massive, green-scaled Brian the crocodile, the true hero, and Brunor's beloved mount. You see his little dragon wings, and Brunor, you can tell right away, his scales look like they're in exquisite shape. Like somebody's been taking very good care of him. He looks happy and perky. He's a pretty boy. And he splashes, he makes it here to the water, and Brunor, you just, start kind of running over.
Oh yeah, I'm already gonna run to him. I'm going.
And you see once he hits the water, rather than trying to split the difference between you, you see as he always does, like when you first started training him, he spins himself upside down and his belly's just like floating, his nose underwater. And yeah, you just like seeing, you're ever the best of friends. You splash through the water again, you feel the cool water on your skin, and once more connected with your friend and ally who loves the water as much as you do. You give, Brian the best of belly scritches, And you see he's just so happy to see you. He's just spinning and twirling, and he like bites at your leg but doesn't put any pressure behind it. You put him in a headlock, and you guys have a nice little moment there. You see Brian wiggles out. You can anything you would like to do with Brian, you're of course welcome to do, Bruno.
I just hold on to him and I like sob loudly, just open sobbing loudly while I just hold on to him and I go, oh my god, I miss you so much.
You see he's just like rubbing his nose against your face, and his soft, like I said, his very well oiled skin is smooth to the touch, so somebody's been exfoliating him.
He's amazing. Yeah, I love him. I'm just having a good cry as well because I'm like, I miss you, and I'm just crying and just holding him. I've killed a dragon. I have a lot of emotions right now, so I'm just holding on to my thick, wiggly boy as I cried out.
You see his thick, wiggly body wriggling as you hug onto him and clench him close, and he happily rubs his nose upon you. So happy, he missed you just as much as you missed him, and having this kind of beautiful private moment. You begin crying. And those, watching, you haven't, Bruno just kind of letting out, having a very emotional moment in front of you in a way you haven't quite seen yet. You also kind of hear the other cries of like Tovas and his father. And you hear the kids crying from down this alleyway. And so like right now there's just like an echo of people crying that's kind of like bouncing off the walls in this city.
Yeah.
And as you're crying, you kind of hear the carriage shake as a gentleman steps out who you haven't seen in a long time. Rial, you look upon the face of Sumner Milton.
Oh.
He steps out, major domo to Greyland Faragor, a major figure in the Fellsworn Kingdom. He was the one that originally called the We3, Brunor, and I'm sure I remember, and Rial together, that started this whole shebang-a-bang. He's the guy that left the note on the first episode. So you see him step out. He has, gray, kind of well-groomed hair, having, it would appear, like come from a much more formal environment than the last time you saw him, just living in like a ranch house in the Shattered Isles. He has these just like glorious, tight-fitted purple jacket and like a fur kind of ruff that goes around the neck and a gleaming golden necklace. You can see just by looking at him that he's part of the upper crust of whatever society he represents. He has like polished brown leather riding boots, and he stands up with kind of a firm authority as he looks around at first. You see the two soldiers quickly step kind of in front of him, just kind of looking around, like unsure, why this elf and this crocodile are so close. But they're not really engaging with you guys until you see Sumner, look past the chaos, the dragon, the crocodile splashing in the water, the ballista, and he sees Rial. You see he steps forward. Rial, my boy. And he pushes this soldier out of the way and just kind of starts walking across the bridge hastily. You see the soldiers kind of quickly in tune jump, kind of try to keep up, and they're very protective of him as he runs forward and kind of stops as he sees Divot standing there with the skeleton hand. The soldiers stop behind him, and you see he holds his hand back. Wait. These are my friends. Rial, is that you?
Hi. It's good to see you again.
Gentlemen, put your weapons away. We have found the five. The songs we've heard, the stories, these are them! Rial, I knew you were meant for something more. And you see, looks at you with a prideful glow in his eye. And, the scene of everybody kind of like takes their way back. You see Tamara looks at Thoricus, and she goes, I will tend to the girl. You're welcome in my forge anytime. And she mentions the act. I didn't mean it like that. But she, as a fellow blacksmith,
blacksmith shop whenever
you're welcome in her forge anytime. The forge that's right. I'm gonna ping it.
Oh, I know.
That forge. You see, she returns. She doesn't seem to like really want to engage in whatever this is, and she goes back to take care of the girls. So you guys are kind of standing there. You know, Tovas and him are having the thing together. You see Sumner Milton stands there. He's like, I can't believe I found you. You all. It has been.
Did you find the druids?
It was you. You were to find the druids. I went back to find the aid of Grayland Ferragor. He sent soldiers, as I said, to help the peoples of the Shadowed Isles. They told us of your tale, of the battles, the shadows that attacked them, the heroics.
Yeah, we're on our way to the druids. They went the other way. I remember now.
I got mixed up too.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. So he, the letter basically, he said that the druids would help you guys in the Malachite Mountains, which is where you are now. They can help you somehow defeat Sithis. They know some way to do it, and that's what led you here. And then a lot of things happened along the way. You know, your friends were kidnapped and drug into the Mirkwood, and you went in there, and you lost Martha, and you know, it's like the whole series of the events has kind of come full circle as you look at this man once more. You know, Tina, you look upon him, you remember the book, you know, that you stole from him, and the page that you always kept secret. You know he was right about his thoughts about Mithra in the end, that she was indeed part of the syndicate. So you know, you personally don't have any reason to mistrust him. You know, he did have these soldiers stand down. It seems like so much time has passed. There's so much to say that it's just kind of at an impasse right now. So if anybody wants to lead the discussion, feel free. You know, even he is like, I can't believe it, and he's just looking around and he sees the dead dragon. And he sees the kids, and he's just looking around. He sees the skeleton hand divot, and you know, all of you kind of gleaming with far more power than you did before. Tina seeming, you know, strangely changed as well. Just looking around at you guys, it seems totally just mystified.
I pop my head up from behind the bridge, and I yell to Sumner Milton, were you able to help out the refugees from the Shattered Isles?
You see, he's like, he kind of is like, he's like, please, yes, Vix, Wedge, and you see the two soldiers stand at attention, and he's like, please, bring the carriage, bring the food, let's help these people as best we can. And Wedge, when this is through, ride back, see if we can't get a couple more soldiers dispatched this way. And you see they're like, yes, sir. And they speak in unison, and Vix and Wedge return back to the carriage to kind of like tend to bringing it in and do all that little milieu stuff. But you guys kind of, you know, gather around a little bit, you know. You see Kona, like I said, nobody seems to be really wanting to engage with this guy for any particular reason. The townsfolk are all kind of wrapped up in their big moments that have taken place. And so, yeah, you all are, you know, kind of gathered around, and you see Sumner Milton. There he is. He says, yes,
There he is.
I was able to help those of the Shadowed Isles, as I told you. Grayland Ferragor, the Griever King, he dispatched soldiers quickly to this region. We were able to separate the two towns, the refugee camp and the Tilmore itself. The people seemed happier that way. The tensions of the still frozen sun, the mounting talks of war, the great armies being gathered. The world is unsettled. I feared I would never see you again, Rial. It does me good to see your face. Brunor, you're looking at this guy. The last thing that you recall was the solo mission that he sent you on when you first met Sumner Milton. He had you deliver the package across the rocky waves across the isle to where the old wood, where the old magic is said to dwell. He gave you a bundle. As you took that bundle across the shaky seas, it seemed no different than any other delivery that the sea serpent had been called upon to do before. You left this package on the beach as described. Arrived, got back on your boat, began to drift away. When you did, you heard the cry of a child pierce the sky, a baby. You looked back for a moment, and you saw a great shadowy beast scoop the package that you had delivered off the beach and descend back into the dark woods and sat against the backdrop of these dark and crashing waves. You rushed back. The baby stopped crying. All that was left was the cloth that was wrapped around it. You know that cloth is still in your bag right now. So, just, like I said, do with that what you will, but you do know you have that cloth still in your bag.
Y'all, I think I'm about to be dramatic.
Do it!
Okay. Okay. Cool. I want to be. I want to
Hold up, I gotta like
get
this.
out of, dramatically, get out of the water, and I take the cloth out of my bag. And it's been forever. I don't know how even long it's been since
There's
I've done
probably
this
some
delivery.
hobgoblin head blood on it still, and
Yeah,
it's been mingled
just-
in there.
And I walk up and I go, all right, fine, then explain this, and then I throw it on the ground in front of him, and
Threw it on the ground!
Happy birthday to the ground.
yeah, I just go, yeah, we'll explain this. I'm already really upset, because I just don't know how to go from 0 to 60.
Yes, you go from just
What?
crying it out to just infuriated in a moment.
Yeah.
And you see even Brian picks up on your energy, and where you were just playful and having this great moment, even he too kind of, as if a snake would coil, you see he kind of wraps himself behind you and glares menacingly at him. If Brunor's got beef with somebody, Brian's got beef with somebody. And so he is standing behind you ready to snap, and you see the cloth fall on the ground. You all see this as well. And none of you quite know Sumner Milton quite as well as Rial, who tended his farmlands for many months. And Rial, you see the look on Sumner Milton's face as he looks down at the cloth, and just the light behind his face goes away. That Brunor was one of the greatest mistakes I ever made. The customs, the harvest ritual. It was their way. They fed the child to the Dark One, and the harvest would come. I sent word to Grayland that I would have no part in it. But he said, the Fellsworn Kingdom does not enforce its beliefs on its followers. It just offers them protection. It was not my way. But you're right. That child's life is in my hands. And you see he drops to his knees and he clutches the wrap. And he looks you in the eyes. There's no insight needed. This man is telling you the truth, Brunor. He says, I'm so sorry. And he buries his crying face into this tapestry.
You made me a part of that child's death. I killed a child. I killed a child. You ordered me to do that.
You see, he looks up at you. You're right. Not only am I a murderer, but I've made you one as well. For your honor. And he steps back, and you see he takes his hands and very presentationally puts them behind his back. And he kneels down on his knees. You see them press in the wet mud of the ground. And Brunor, he offers his neck to you. He hangs his head down and awaits your verdict. Everybody else can act in this instance too, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you see this moment You know,
I point at Brenor with message, and I whisper to her, and I'm like, just say the word. You don't have to do it.
Brunor, this is the first time you've ever heard a voice inside of your head, and it's Divot's voice.
The first time?
No. This is not when I lose my mind. This is not. No. No.
Sumner,
No.
head still hung.
So I kind of, I straighten myself out, and I just kind of wave myself down, and I walk over to Sumner Milton, and I lean down, and I whisper into his ear,
I'd rather make you live with it.
and then I get up. So,
I'm like, hold on.
You kneel down. You say it in his ear. Rial, you don't quite hear what she says, but you see his face become serious. And he looks up and kind of, as Bruno, as you step to walk away, he grabs at your arm for a moment. I'm sorry that I have made you have to do the same. And you see he takes the wrap, he looks at it, and then he puts it over his shoulders. I shall wear this as a reminder of what I did. May your legacy cure you of my misdeeds. And he can't really look you in the eyes anymore, Bruno. He kind of looks down at the ground.
I kind of turn around to everybody and I say, I'm done talking with him, but whatever you guys need is up to you now. And I kind of walk over. I like take a step away to breathe it out. Daddy's got to take a couple breaths now.
You know, you see it's a little easier to let that tension go now that your friend and ally, your trusted mount, and noble sweetheart of a man, every little wiggly thick boy, Brian, is once more at your side. You know, you kind of sit by the riverside and let your feet sit in the water to literally cool you down. And you see the two soldiers, Vix and Wedge, are kind of getting the carriage ready to push across this little river area. They're unpacking some things, like you can see just like some like bedrolls and stuff. It seems like they've got a little bit of like aid in there that they can offer to these villagers, like some food and some, you know, can help rebuild the city type stuff. So they start kind of unloading, you know, packs of goods and things and the like. Everybody else, you know, you see Brunor step away, and Sumner Milton's still standing there, and he looks at you all and he says, I'm very sorry you had to see that. I wronged your friend, and it's something I will live with. But I assure you, I am on your side. If ever anybody was, tell me, what can I do to help? We have food. He looks around. We can draw soldiers. What would you have us do? Have you heard the news? The armies are gathering. The world's armies here, headed toward the Malachite Mountains. There's great discord. What do you know? And he's just kind of overwhelmed by all of these things that have taken him. Again, sorry everybody seems so overwhelmed right now, but it's like there's just a lot of things happening, and you guys are pretty intimidating.
Well, Sumner, I mean, to be fair, we have killed a lot of children on this journey so far, so don't feel too bad.
He looks
I'm kidding, it's the worst. You're the worst, and you should live with that.
Thoricus, you know, ever the blunt, Thoricus, you know, kind of hits the nail on the head, and you see kind of turns and looks at you, and then for a moment nods his head. I have heard of your exploits. The bar fights, the battle in Buraka. It was that trail that led me to you. I'm happy to see you once again, but do wish that you were farther along. Have you seen the druids? Do you know what's happening?
No, what's happening?
Yeah, what's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
And tell me about synthesis.
You see, he looks. He's like, that's a lot of questions. Who's am I gonna answer first? You see, he's like, yes. I rode back to the Fellsworn Kingdom to tell the king of what had transpired. The great rift in the sky, the giant Achaeus, the rift that seems to be linked to the Shadowfell. I told him of all these strange things. He didn't seem perplexed. He seemed confident and said to draw the soldiers together, to draw the army of the Fellsworn. It was then I heard from the other major domos around the world. The dynasty has called forth a mechanized army. 1,000 steel-born march on this mountain even now. The great armies come this way. Word is the druids have rebelled against the world of man. He sent me to offer aid and support, but he seemed to be keeping much from me. I will answer your questions as best I can, but I'm afraid I know less than I wish I did. What else would you know?
I smell a war.
It does smell that way, Thoricus. I heard of the Stone Reavers' revival in Buraka. You've changed this place, though sent away from your own. Remember in your notes, like he kind of knew some stuff about you guys. It seems you've brought the best parts of yourself from your broken past. You should all be proud of yourselves. Truly warriors, despite some of the shrapnel along the way. So you see, he does seem, Divot, he seems kind of aware. Like, yeah, you guys have cracked a few skulls, broken some eggs, not necessarily played the straight and narrow.
Dropped
the
some
whole
skin
way.
off of your arm.
But he seems, he seems aware of it and impressed and inspired by you nevertheless. But yes, you guys, for a fact now that the something's going on in, I'm just gonna like break it to you straight. Something's going on in the world. And these great armies from these great kingdoms, the dynasty, one of the oldest kingdoms in the world, said to, be the home of like incredibly powerful magicians, seem to have raised this strange army of mechanized soldiers and is now sending it toward the very place that you are right now, the Malachite Mountains. Greyland Faragor has also gathered the Fellsworn armies and is headed toward the Malachite Mountains, all in response to this idea that somehow the great druid circle is betraying the realm. So that's like I just wanted to like make sure that the clean and skinny of what Sumner Milton said there, just to clarify those points. That's kind of what's going on. And Divot, you suddenly are aware of this impending conflict. And you feel this oncoming swarm of death. And for a moment, as you guys kind of stand there, you look over at Devitt, and you see, as the sun washes on his face, a glim illusion of a red mask passes across his face. The same mask that you saw on Death in the Shadowfell. Washes across his face for a moment. And Divot, your eyes start glowing with this new eldritch magic that is at the source of your power now. Your eyes start flashing, and you start feeling yourself be pulled out of your body. You look down and you see the five, Sumner Milton, Brian the Crocodile, the town, the burned church, the bodies of the dragons and the wormlings as you lift higher and higher into the sky. And you become aware as you look over at the mountaintop of the Malachite Mountains, you see the great green orb that tops the greatest peak that Brunor saw as she rode on the top of the dragon. It seems, like over a mile wide, this giant green energy dome that tops the highest peak of the Malachite Mountains. You're looking at it kind of in despair as you draw up, past the cloud tops until you feel like you're floating almost in space. And as you look down, you see the world as a map. It becomes less of the physical realities of the locations, and you start to see these glowing energies, and you feel the beating energy of 100,000 heartbeats. And you see all this motion and all these, all these lives happening and moving in unison. And you start to see organized units, like great armies moving together through these places. Heartbeats, echoing, booming. You're kind of floating in this space, and you look down and you see the biggest source of movement right from the center of the continent. All these forms are moving, but there's no heartbeats. And you see as 1,000 giant, again, like a map, squares, these big giant squares are moving across this giant field and plain with such speed that it doesn't fit with the other ants on this picture. And so you lean in and you feel your spectral body that's kind of floating through the astral plane push forward and toward these units. And as you push past the clouds, you see a sight unlike anything you've ever seen. 1,000 steel-born, war-forged soldiers move with this insane speed, chewing up the ground and spitting it up behind them like the treads of this massive tank. 1,000 mechanized bodies forging through the desert, all collapsing toward the Malachite Mountains. You look to the left, you see the armies of the Fellswarm through the trees and across the mountains. You look to the right, you see the agents of the Syndicate drawing close. Everybody is coming to the Malachite Mountains. And we're gonna pick it up there next week, guys.
Fuck!
Ooh, yo, let me tell you about that track though. That's Sandy Stein with that.
So
The
tight.
March of the Steelborn. Ooh, yes. Team, guys, yes. Sorry, I know.
Wow.
I know. We want to keep going. We all do. It's fine. But we want it. We want it. We want you to want it. We're all gonna want it together. I love leaving it with the stakes nice and high. So once more, thank you guys so much for sticking with us. All our people on all our people on Twitch, all our new people, all our new friends. I've been getting messages from some pretty cool peeps throughout this week, so hopefully they made it. And welcome to the community, buds. These are the best people that you can hope to hang out with every Tuesday night. So Tuesdays suck, but not with Weed&d. So remember, smoke responsibly. And we are going to go ahead and close things the way that we like to open them around here. Maybe you've heard about it if you were here at the beginning. Maybe you haven't if you just hopped in. But we like to take our lighters and go, lighters up. Thanks for playing D&D with us, guys. We fucking love you. Whew. I'm hitting that track again. Here it comes. Get ready.
You made water come out of my face.
10 more minutes.
Oh.
10 more minutes.
Brenna cried.
Ew.
Brenna cried. All right, yeah, sorry. I didn't mean it. That's like the worst music for crying.
So what? You can't touch me. 'Cause I'm from the